Hello, and good evening, and welcome to the Joy of Connection. And tonight, I can't wait to introduce my next guest. I just love him. I'm just going to leave it at that. It's very simple. But before we go to that, I just wanted to acknowledge that it's the week of love. It's the month of love. It's Valentine's week. And for some of us, it's so exciting and wonder what's going to happen. Is it going to be a titillating Sunday? Or I'm single. What does that mean for me? So do we have to be in that mode? I'm single and I don't care about Valentine's Day. Or could it be, you know what, I'm going to love myself. You know, who gives a you know what to the rest of the world? It's Valentine's and I'm going to celebrate me. So I just wanted to ask you guys, you know, while I have you here, what would you do to show yourself love if you're single and you're not in a relationship? Come on, give me some comments. Let me know you're here. Let me know that you're tuning in. I just love to find out what you would do because, you know, so many of us just assume that Valentine's Day is for lovers and it's for couples, and that's the way it's marketed. But if we really talk about St. Valentine and we think about the notion of love and how one feels, we have to start with loving ourselves, which we talk about every week. It's about loving you first. So how would you give love to you? I want to hear it. I want to hear all the details. Give me all the juicy gossip. We're going to keep going. We're going to keep going. But without further ado, I want to bring on screen the wonderful, the divine Kevin NCube. So please bring Kevin on. I can't wait. Hello, darling.
Well, hello, Michelle. How are you?
I'm wonderful. How are you?
I am fantastic. And I know, and you know, and so do all those who are in the know, that I've got nothing but so much love for you.
Oh, thank you. And it's equal. It's equal. And I'm so excited because, audience, I have to let you know, he is a very, very busy person. BBC producer, journalist. We're going to let him fill us in on all of the other things that he does. But he has, as I said in my post, he is that and so much more. So I'm actually honored that you took some time out of your busy schedule to spend with us. So thank you. So I'm going to start with just asking you to tell the audience a little bit about who you are. You know, where have you lived and where do you live now?
Do you know that is, how much time do we have?
Oh, well, I like that. Well, about half an hour, 40 minutes, but I'll let you know. I'll start wrapping it up when I want to wrap it up. So
I come from tropical Zimbabwe. I mean, already when you just asked me that question, where you're from, how far you've come, I just reminisce back to the time of beautiful mauve jacaranda blossoms, making such purple carpet on the streets, the tropical sun kissing and caressing my limbs. And sunshine and, you know, ripe mangoes and big smiles in Zimbabwe, Africa, and then relocated to the UK in 2002 to this icy coldness, but lots of warm hearts here and warm hands. I think you know what I mean by that.
Mm.
It's really, really good to talk to you, Michelle. I mean, I need to apologize first and foremost about the glasses. I know they say the eyes are the window to the soul, but you know, I'm getting on a bit, so I've got to wait.
Darling, you're fabulous with or without the glasses. You know, you just exude that je ne sais quoi. So I'm loving it. I'm excited. I'm so excited that you're here. I'm trying to contain it. I'm trying to bring it down a little bit. You know, I'm so happy that you're here. So, my love, I love the way you describe that. You know, the jacaranda and the flowers and the floor. That's all conjures up romance and love to me.
Scenic Zimbabwe, just absolutely beautiful. I mean, I come from, you know, a culture of love. I come from an upbringing of respect and a childhood of Dynasty and Dallas and Sunday nights and, you know, the A team of the 80s and, you know, circa 90s and just beautiful memories of aunts and uncles and being scolded and sort of getting those good old whoopings from, you know, just anyone in the village, because in Africa they believe it takes a child to raise, it takes a village to raise a child. It's such a good phenomena that that is a whole part of, as a Pan-Africanist, what I believe in, Ubuntu. You know, I really, really miss home, but I've also adapted and acclimatized to where I live now, Michelle, because it's been a continuation of a dream I've always had, and that's to be a fully fledged broadcaster.
Okay, well, we're going to come to that. Don't go any further. I just want you to repeat that word. It was so beautiful. Ubuntu, is that how you said it?
Ubuntu. Humane, showing love for human beings, believing that the sole purpose, the intention is for human beings, you know, selfless, a selfless, you know, belief in life, being community before self. That's Ubuntu.
I love that. You're going to have to spell that out for us in a minute because I'm sure the audience are going to be asking about it, but I love it. I love it. So before we go to the next question, I don't know what you've done, but the chats are getting crazy. Everyone's saying stuff. They want to reach out. So let me just tell you, apparently we're both looking beautiful in red. So thank you, audience.
Valentine's is
cool.
The theme.
Yeah. So they were just answering the first question. I'm just going back to that first question about, you know, how do you show yourself love? And one person said meditation. Eva said, hello, beautiful. And Aura said, got myself some lush bath salts and a new book for Valentine's. You go ahead, Aura. I love that. Giving yourself love. And Julie's calling in from Atlanta. So, hey, girl from Atlanta. She said, I would take a warm bath and then coat my entire body with the most beautiful and fragrant lotion ever. I can just smell that, Julie. That fragrance. Oh, ooh la la.
Mamma mia.
We're going to be speaking all kinds of languages by the end of this night. And, wow, I'm loving the guest speaker already. So everyone's loving you.
Tell her or him, I'm here for it.
Okay, or as a lady, so yes. And even said Zimbabwe's wonderful. We got another hello. And someone wrote, this is a beautiful one. Somebody said, I took a helicopter ride over Victoria Falls. It's so beautiful. And I still can't believe I actually did that. So that's wonderful.
One of the wonders of the world. I mean, I've been to the Victoria Falls and just seen nature at its most beautiful. I mean, who could ever erase those memories, you know, of seeing the ever azure sky and just being in what they call the Devil's Cataract, because it's just like an endless rainforest in the middle of a blistering hot city like Victoria Falls. It was wonderful. And then we crossed over to the Zambian side of the river, you know, just adjacent, which is Livingston. And girl, didn't we have a party?
Ooh, wish I was there. It sounds like I missed out. Sounds beautiful, though. I love that. I love that. And Leslie says, selfless love, perfect. You talked about selfless love, so we're just going back. And Eva says, Kevin, I'm loving you. I'm Caribbean, and my father's a Pan-Africanist, so I know where you're coming from. So I love that. We've got a lot of that going on. And who else is talking here? We've got so much going on. But you know what? Let's get back to Kevin, but keep it flowing, keep it flowing. So Kevin, I just want to ask you, do you remember how we connected, how we made our joy of connection? Do you remember where we met?
You, my friend, are a marvel and a joy to talk to. And honestly, she ain't paid me no fiver. I'd cost more than I remember succinctly, vividly how you'd come to events where I was either a roving reporter or you'd come to the studio and we'd meet at events, shows, the East Midlands Women's Award shows and many places before that, the African Caribbean Center. And I was like, wow, this girl, there's just something that, this is my spirit animal.
I hope it's a nice animal when you say spirit animal. What would I be? What would your spirit animal be for me? What kind of animal would I be?
Do you know, Michelle, I have immeasurable love and admiration for you. When we spoke, we had chemistry. So just cuddly, just somebody. When you asked me to do this, I just, I was more like, snap your finger and I'll be there because I've got love, admiration, just respect and all of the above for you.
Oh, and it's equal because, and just for the audience, I've always said to Kevin, once I'm on radio full time, because that's going to happen, he's my producer. So
speak up to it and the universe. Yeah.
Always,
absolutely.
always. All in divine time, though, all in divine time. So tell me, do you have a spiritual practice or a ritual that you adhere to?
What an interesting question. When I came over here, I didn't know that there was something called people of all faiths and none. And the part that I didn't really get was and none, because where I come from, you had to believe in something. So, for example, being an atheist, and I'm not bringing them down, but, that was like a new phenomenon to me. When I came over here, I'm still a Christian. I meditate. I have faith. I believe faith is such an unbreakable, unconquerable, just an important thing to have. And believe me, without faith, I don't think I'd be where I am.
Interesting. And the beauty of faith is just stepping out there and believing that you'll be guided, whether it's by God,
Absolutely.
whether it's by the universe. That there's this angel force, this angelic force, this nature of God, whatever your definition of that is guiding you. And if you put fear aside, because Ade and I always have this conversation, Ade, my producer, we always have the conversation about fear is the opposite of love, right? So if you just threw out that fear, that love would just guide you. It would just put you in the right direction. But so many of us cling on to fear for many reasons, But yeah, so that's beautiful to hear that. And as a fellow meditator, I don't know how one gets through the day without it. I know when I don't meditate, how I feel. Hey, audience, do you guys meditate? And if you don't meditate, how do you feel? How's your day when you don't meditate? I know how mine is. It's really not great. So just moving along, I want to talk to you a bit about your passion, your love of journalism and being a producer. You've been at the BBC now for 8 years. And I know that it was, as you said, it was your dream, it was your passion, it was something that you aspired for. And I love that you got here and you didn't say, oh my goodness, I'm in this cold country and I don't really know what to do and let me just start again. Or you just went straight ahead. This is what you had your eye on the prize. So tell us about that prize. Where did that desire come from?
I think I'm now part of a multi-platform newsroom. First and foremost, giving honor and glory to my Lord Jesus Christ. I'm working for a really respected broadcaster, the BBC. I generate content, cover diary stories, do live reporting, studio produce, which you've seen me do so many times at BBC Radio Leicester. For our Vibe show. I also deliver stories to wider audiences, working closely with regional TV and digital teams and other stuff at BBC Radio Leicester. But your question is where all this began.
Yes.
I've really got to bless him, the late great Ruben Munjeru, who I feel discovered me in Zimbabwe, Bulawayo, at Montrose Studios, where as a teenager, just fresh out of high school, I started presenting what we called Teen Scene and Sound on Saturday, which were Zimbabwe's equivalent of maybe CD UK back in the day, where I just sort of announced and back announced, introduced videos, music
Okay.
videos.
Okay.
And from there, used television as a stepping stone to radio circa 1996, I think. And from there, ended up doing current affairs and topical issues of the day on Zimbabwe's equivalent of Good Morning Britain. We called it AM Zimbabwe back in the day. I know it's a very 80s, 90s kind of AM, PM title for a program, especially on a flagship, station, because I work for the national broadcaster, ZBC, an abbreviation for Zimbabwe Broadcasting Corporation. And that's where I really think a strong foundation was laid in me to come over here and sort of transfer those skills to the BBC. I always say to people, I've gone up the ladder from the ZBC to the BBC.
I love that. I love that. That's a good one. And, I was going to mention, those of us that come from the Commonwealth or the colonies of Britain, what a lot of people don't know is that, because my family's from Jamaica, is that we're taught and raised on the British system, but oftentimes it's tougher than the system that they're learning in here in the UK. I know my sister and I would have conversations because she was raised in Jamaica, and she and I would have conversations about how, the education system was really intense and really tight and really based on the UK system. So, you had a really strong foundation, as you said. It wasn't, some local little station. We're talking about serious broadcasting. So that's really great. And so, Kevin, let me just ask you, go ahead. Let me let you speak.
You said something interesting about fear. And when I came over, like you give your own Caribbean example, came here and thought, am I going to fit in? You do the menial jobs first. And then I went to university and did a master's degree in, first and foremost, a BA degree in journalism, and then a master's in media studies and journalism here in the UK. And this has always been one phrase. You spoke about fear. Oprah Winfrey said, turn your wounds into wisdom. I can see that right now, knowing that I'm a true version of myself. Don't let fear get in the way.
Thank you.
Don't let fear get in the way. When I came here, I was like, I had gone through stuff which we might not get into during this program because of my sexuality, my position became untenable in Zimbabwe.
I'm sorry, I missed that.
Yeah, just really kind of I couldn't live there whilst yearning or living a lie. I couldn't live there being a taboo, being prejudiced, being stigmatized. And I know you've been across the pond and they call it the land of the free. But for me, for a very long time, this place was the land of the free because I just couldn't fathom, I couldn't believe people of, people who love differently, just roaming about freely here, roaming the street. Because just being gay in Zimbabwe is almost a crime.
Of course, and in many African countries and in the Caribbean too. I mean, I believe it's changing, but I don't know if it's changed 100% in many of those countries. If anybody knows, please give us some feedback. But Kevin, how did it feel to be here and just feel free? Just like, oh my God, not only are there other people like me, but I just feel comfortable in my skin. How did that feel when you came to that realization?
It was very soothing to the soul because I've got to tell you, Michelle, Whitney Houston once wrote on one of the album covers, this is for you, you know whom you are. Do not transgress the rights of others. Because if your distant objective is worthy of the journey, don't try to get there by taking shortcuts. I want people to internalize that and realize and realize just how hurt I was by what happened to this great career in Zimbabwe, where my world just came crumbling down because of who I really am inside.
But
So coming here and being free for me was, the song Revelation, you know,
yeah,
it was just,
that's a great
yeah.
definition. Yeah, it was a revelation. Yeah.
And when
And
you said to me, love's in need of love today, that Stevie Wonder song ain't a truer word spoken.
we're going to come back to that. We're going to come back to that. But that's so important. And I'm so glad that you're sharing that because, many of us are growing up and we're, as teenagers, we're trying to figure out who we are. So sometimes we're experimenting. Sometimes we're figuring out, oh, do I like this person? Do I not like this person? Why am I feeling this way? Why am I not feeling this way? And then to be labeled or stigmatized because of your choice of what you do behind closed doors is kind of really nobody's business, is it really? As long as you're comfortable with who you are, and
it's valid in 2-3 days' time. Come on, it's all about love. Let's get that lovey-dovey feeling up in here.
That's right. Ooh, that's why we're wearing the red. That's why we're wearing the red. Absolutely, absolutely. And as I was talking about loving yourself first, when you're comfortable with who you are, then you don't have to fight the rest of the world. You're just,
I'm loving the interactivity when people speak about self-love, Michelle. It's so important because if it's got to start with you. RuPaul says, if you don't love yourself enough, who the hell is going to love you out there?
That's right. That's right. And that's what I'm always trying to get across. It's about the love of self. We got to get that right first, and then we can give to everybody else. So that's so beautiful.
I listen to coaching sessions, they are, I've got to tell you, those pearls of wisdom and expertise, people just don't realize sometimes what they have until it's gone. You sit there and, dispense this advice and help and chat that really it's been healing, and I don't flatter.
All right. I take that as a thank you. I take that as a thank you, and I really do. But I think that especially in this time, a lot of people are searching for something else. They're tolerated, they've just dealt with a situation because, we're passing ships, or I'm not so happy, but another day. But right now, another day is right now. And we're having to deal with where we are right now. And a lot of people are making decisions based on how they're feeling and thinking, COVID might be with us for the next 5 years. We don't know. So am I going to be unhappy for 5 years?
Still on the subject of sexuality, Michelle, some people are disingenuous still, and I don't know whether it's cultural or what. Some people, some might accuse me of being pedantic right now, but I really would like to touch on the fact that a lot of people still closeted. It's your choice. Come out when you're ready. Nobody says, don't come out. But I got to tell you, there's a lot of closeted brothers and sisters out there. And yeah, absolutely. And it all comes from, I think, a place of not being allowed to be a true version of yourself, where your naturalism is suppressed.
And I think also it's fear of losing your family and friends. What will people think of me? I've got a great reputation, and now that's going to go down the tubes and all the rest of it. And
having a supportive family is so important. If it wasn't for my family, my mama, my brothers and sisters, cousins, aunts, uncles, and all of the above, I don't think I'd sound as quietly confident as I do now.
Love it. Love it. And sometimes, the family but sometimes, your family does want to support you, they know, but they're waiting for you to make that move, waiting for you to say something. They don't want to out you, and then you're uncomfortable with it.
It's got to be organic.
Yeah. And sometimes it's just a difficult conversation. Imagine being raised in a really traditional family where no one that we know of out loud is gay, and then we're suddenly trying to make that announcement. It's got to be a really difficult place to be in. It's got to be a really difficult place. And sometimes, this is what was so amazing about living in New York. People move to New York to reinvent themselves, to recreate, to become who they truly are. Because in New York, nobody gives a damn. And that's exactly how it is. Nobody cares. You do
You know,
you.
Shell, that's one of the conversations we had when we first met, you know. People just, nobody gives a damn. I mean, if you go back into history, I don't want to get into the whole biblical, cherry picking Bible verses. And I'm Christian, by the way. Let's not get into cherry picking Bible verses. Love is love. There is that history in Africa, our ancestors. Read on it, read on, you know, boy wives, man wives. Read on it, read on that stuff. I have so many legends. I mean, I read the story about Justin Fashion, and I thought,
What did you think?
just that really gets me really emotional, Shell. And I cried and cried when I watched recently a documentary on his life.
Yeah.
That one really hits different.
Yeah. Well, people are often so insensitive, not thinking about how they want to leave somebody feeling. They even just saying something. Sometimes you have to be really careful about your words. Your words
Absolutely.
are so important. One of my really close friends always says to me, think about how you'd want to be left feeling after you've had a conversation with someone. So, it's okay to be unhappy. It's okay to be in an argument, but think about the words that you use, because sometimes we can't bring those words back, Just bringing in the audience here, Eva saying, love is love. I remember Justin so sad. She also says it's better to be yourself. And, this is beautiful. This is beautiful that you brought it up, because it is a tough conversation, but it is a conversation that needs to be addressed, and it's a topic that needs to be looked at.
It's almost become a labor of love for me, to speak about how important it is to dare to dream. The world will become your oyster when you just freely live who you are inside. Live your truth.
Live your truth. And I believe as long as you're coming from a position of love, it's okay, whatever you say or do, as long as that's where you're coming from. It's always about the intention. What is your intention for what you're saying and doing? Right? And if you're coming from that deep, honest, caring place, that's fine. If you're coming from a place where, well, I just want to rip you up with what I've got to say, yeah, well, it says a lot about you too. Travis is here, and Travis is saying people are so ignorant, not intensely, about LGBT history, and play a part of all cultures. Thanks, Travis, for sharing that. Really important, really important. Oh, this is so good. This is so good. So I'm going to move on a little bit. I just wanted to talk to you a little bit more about, your goal. Like, where do you see yourself? I know it's sort of a cliche question, but if you could have your ultimate role in media, what would that be? What would that look like?
Shall I gotta say, there's a lot of people who are, nervous about speaking in public, spaces, people who kind of need guidance about, public speaking and broadcasting and being, officiating as the master of ceremony and just debating. And I'd like to create a bespoke, tailored service tutorial for people who just want to get on a public, platform, and be it a wedding, corporate, birthday, anniversary, radio station, community radio station, television. Just go out there and be your fabulous self. Somebody said in the comments, Kevin, you've gone with the wind, fabulous. It didn't come easy. Standing there and speaking in front of people takes practice, it takes skill, it takes training, it takes practice, practice, practice.
Yeah.
And I hope I'm not sounding conceited if I'm saying I feel like I've come to a point in my life where I think it would be only fair to impart the knowledge I've gained over the years to the young'uns, as they say. And that's the dream, to be you know, in a position where I can, even if it's that minute, you know,
Mm,
what I've learned, just impart it to somebody else, that would be so gratifying. That's the dream, you know, just a oratory speaking school, you know, just Kevin, you know, telling people how best you can convey messages, how best you can inform, educate, and perhaps entertain whilst you're doing that.
that's wonderful. I think it's needed. There are so many people that I come across. In fact, it was one of the things I was shocked about when I moved back to the UK. I would have dialogues with people and they're looking down and they sort of, and I was like,
Oh,
do they,
yes,
what are they
those
looking down on the
nonverbal
ground?
communication, those nonverbal cues send out so much, you know, especially now. I was just recently working on a piece about how it's all in the eyes, you know, because we're all masked up now. We masked up
Mm,
in the eyes, you know, especially at this time of Valentine's. It's all in the eyes.
it's all in the eyes. And speaking of Valentine's, audience, I want to do something a little fun here. I want you to tell me what's the best gift you've received and the worst gift you've received. If you've received a Valentine's gift, what was the best and what was the worst? So let me tell you, what was my best gift? I'm not sure. I've had a few, but I'm not sure. I think a ridiculously huge bouquet of flowers came to my job one day. And I was just sort of like, eat your heart out, girls. What I got. You know,
You
that was my,
deserve, you so deserve it.
this is not here, this was in the States. And I'm talking about huge. It was, yeah, it was almost like a flop. It was embarrassing, really, in some regards, but I felt really good. So that was really
Well,
nice.
shall I flip the script and ask you, what does Valentine's Day mean to you?
Well, fancy you asking me that. Well, let me tell you what my worst gift was, and then I'll tell you, answer your question. So I was dating somebody, I'll just say a West Indian man, I'll leave it at that, a Caribbean man, for those of you who don't know what that means. And he bought me a pressure cooker. Now I want to know, what was I supposed to do with that? And what part of pressure cooker is romance? I mean, I don't know what I was supposed to do with that. So that was my worst gift. But for me, Valentine's Day, well, I think someone can be your Valentine all year round. So it's about showing love and respect all year round. But on that day, even my partner and I, we don't go above and beyond. He'll usually cook a meal for me, or we'll help. We'll spend the day enjoying each other. That's what we do. We love each other in a really very simple way, actually. We don't go overboard at all, but we'll cook together, we'll laugh together, we'll play some music, we'll dance. He'll probably buy me some flowers, I'll buy something small. But for me, it's just another day to show how much you really love that person. And when I was single, it was a day to celebrate the love of myself. And I was single a lot longer than I've been in a relationship. So for me, it's just another day to show a bit more love. That's really it. Did I answer your question?
Well, love, for me, what perfect answer. For me, what love means and what Valentine's and all of these sentiments mean is, everyone wants to ride in the limo, but what you want is someone who will take the bus with you when the limo breaks down.
I love that. And I read a fabulous article that was written about you. And I recall seeing that in there. And I was really
Yeah.
impressed.
Do you know, I'm such an Oprah Winfrey fanatic, and when I saw that as one of the powerful quotes, I thought, yeah, you just want somebody for the ups and downs, you know, triumphs, trials, and tribulations, and all of the above.
Yeah, absolutely. Because, you
You
know,
know,
if you're a rich person, you can go out and buy someone diamonds. But is that really impressive? I mean, you can buy me diamonds any year. But what if you sat there and you hand wrote or created a poem and gave that to me? That's beautiful. I have a friend in Switzerland and I love, her name is Rocio. If you're watching Rocio, I'm going to share your secret. One of the things that I love about her relationship with her partner, they write little notes to each other and they put them sometimes in the cabinet, in the drawer, in the kitchen drawer, in places that you wouldn't even imagine. So she might be opening her closet and then on the mirror, there's a little love note. And they would do it especially when they were traveling, so that when the person was gone, they'd see all these little messages where they laugh. I mean, I just thought that was the most romantic and loving thing, because, you know, anyone can buy an expensive gift, but the gift of time, the gift of thinking about that person ahead, to think of again how I want that person left feeling when they read that note. You know, that's romance to me. I love it.
Michelle, I got to tell you, I've just been sitting here watching and I put on my producer shoes and I'm thinking, I spoke earlier how, public speaking can be such a stumbling block for some people, how it can be such an unpleasant experience. And I'm watching you with the gift of the gab, just really very eloquent, very smooth. And I'm saying, this girl deserves this joy spot. You deserve this gig and much, much more because you're so at ease and so comfortable in your own skin and in front of the camera. And this is part of you should open this public speaking school with moi.
Oh, okay. I'm always about a joint venture. Let's talk about that offline. I love it. Oh, yeah, you'd have to control me a little bit, put me in the box. But yeah, I would love to talk about it. Seriously, I would love to talk about that. It's really important. And just as you said, it's not about public speaking, necessarily speaking in front of a big audience, but what if it's a wedding and you've got to be the best man or the maid?
Absolutely.
Just
we
learning.
Absolutely have to say something.
Yeah.
And you stand there, I know. I mean, I work out. It's difficult now, with this kind of weather. I like to run. I love to swim. I'm a fish in water. I've swam from the time I was 6. I was in the school drama and stuff, and I've done a lot of other things. I loved academia. I mean, outside of Netflix and chilling, the thing I really like to do the most is host and officiate as MC at many of these functions. Is this a kind of shameless plug for my business?
Please do. I mean, this is what we're here to do.
We've just been all over the show, just really, building people's confidence and hosting those events and making them unforgettable, crafting unforgettable experiences as a speaker. I love it, love it, love it.
Oh, that's wonderful. We have to talk because in my old life, I was a corporate event planner and all I dealt with was a lot of high-end speakers, a lot of, we'll talk about it offline, but yeah, that's great. And speaking of which, talking about speaking, which leads to awards, I remember reading something about you getting an award and I think I might have a photo of you getting the award. It was such a stunning, I mean, I saw it and I was just like, ah.
You've done your research, girl.
Well, we don't like to mess around here. We don't like to mess around. Here it is. I mean,
you are going to make a girl cry. This was 2006. Where did you get that? This was that shot brings back such happy memories. That was 2016. Oh, I see my friend there, Chi. Hey, baby. It was my sister. I shouldn't even be saying friend. That was such a 2016 Zimbabwe Achievers Awards. And what was special about that night was this was an award, a personality, the People's Choice Award. Those awards voted for by your community, voted for by, your people. And to me, I had been waiting for a day like this for a really, really long time. And for them to choose me as a broadcaster, the personality of the year in 2016 at that glamorous bash in London, I was over the moon. I mean, I've got to admit, in that picture, a girl powdered the nose quite a bit.
Well, you're looking stunning. And the hair, I mean, I'm loving it. Ooh.
Oh, yes, absolutely. I have just the happiest memories of one of the happiest days of my life. Shout out to Wellington, Tarafirenyika, and of course Conrad Ones and all those glorious people who were involved in organizing that event and just the award. There's so many. I said before we run out of time on this live, there's so many names I just wanted to just throw in the mix. Tula, my producer of note at ZBC, Joe Hollis, who is now a sister here to me at work, Celia Cox, who is just like my second mother, my own mother, Dorothy Nkube. I love, love, love her. There's no me without her, literally. There's just so many people who've been influential in this journey. Blessed Sikosana from Syracuse, New York.
Oh, really? Okay.
America twice. First to her son's wedding, which I emceed in Toronto, in Ontario, Canada, and her own wedding, which was in Syracuse, New York. The two times I went there, I was spoiled rotten. We had the best time, and she's just been one of those people. I always call her my rock of Gibraltar. She is just love personified.
I love it.
So many people, the great Rita Hudson, the late great Titi Mawarire, and of course, I need not mention Ruben Munjeri, who discovered me, all those years ago. Just so many people I have to thank, because sometimes you meet these angels, and it's important to give them their flowers whilst they can still smell them. For all the help, for all the selfless love.
Yeah, and listen, I say to people all the time, people will compliment me and say, "Oh my God, Michelle, your show's so good, it's so professional." And I always say, I have a team. I don't do this on my own. I have my business strategist, Eva. I couldn't live without her. I torture her all the time. I call her all sorts of times of the night and the morning. Nima, what do you think about this? Da, da, da. And I'm sure she's sometimes thinking, her again. Oh my goodness! If she calls me one more time, Ade. I mean, I can't say enough.
I'm like that with my friends. Gracious, Olga, a whole lot of them. My own cousin Nolene, who loves me to bits. I have loads of cousins. He'll got, I'm like that. And I'm like, and one thing about being really loved, it makes you sit back, especially during this lockdown, and think to yourself, my cup is full. It's just overflowing with so many people that love and care for you. And it's so much nicer when you give that love right back.
That's right. But it's all about giving and receiving, isn't it? When you give, it always comes right back.
You've got to reciprocate.
Yeah. And you don't even have to worry about it. I mean, as long as you're giving from the heart, it always comes back when you least expect it. That's when I love it. When I least expect situation. I'll just give you this one really quick example. I remember, well, you know what? I'm not going to go into that because I'm looking at the time and I don't want to lose out on it. So we'll come back to my story. I'll write a post in the group, guys. I'll come back to you. But
maybe we should do a part 2.
I'm sorry? We'll do a part 2?
Maybe part 2. Sometime soon.
Listen, Stevie Wonder says, love's in need of love today. What, Kevin, do you think that you might be in need of in terms of love? What do you think about that statement?
I've told you this before. I mean, people might see me on this live gazing up at my gorgeous chandelier a couple of times. It's because I like to think, and sometimes, you've got to prepare, because if you fail to prepare, you preparing to fail. When you ask me that question, and I think really deeply, the best answer I could give you is, a lot of the times when I was younger, I looked for love in the wrong places. And, like wine, I just grew more, wise, more fine with age. And now, when I see crazy coming, I run.
That's not what I thought you were going to say, but I get you. I hear you loud and clear.
When I see crazy coming, girl, because there's a whole lot of crazy out there. So I've been very fortunate in that song and the lyrics slowly becoming, I'll refer to Whitney again. Whitney sang that song when she opened a concert for a new South Africa post 1994, a big concert celebrating the end of apartheid and celebrating Nelson Mandela and coming into power. And she, toured, she did a fantastic, it was called A Concert for a New South Africa. And she chose that song as the opening number. And there's a reason she did that, because that song for me ain't a truer word spoken. I begin to find meaning in it, meaning that I can relate to at this age I'm at now, that I've just told you about, where, I've ran and ran and ran away from crazy, and I think I've found gold.
Oh, and sometimes, all that glitters isn't gold. So sometimes the thing that you're looking for, you're having that magpie moment. Oh, that's so beautiful. I'm over here. Oh, that's so beautiful. But the thing that was right here, the person that was just very quiet, not making a sound, just be really cool.
Absolutely. But in
Really
the context that I think Stevie Wonder penned that song, I think Love's in Need of Love was, showing selflessness, showing help, showing altruism, putting community before self, helping the less privileged. I mean, right now, I'm doing a project with Golden Careers Champions, which is a non-profit community group in Leicester's West End, where we deliver, culturally appropriate foodstuffs, African foodstuffs, from suppliers to our isolated, vulnerable, and or shielding members of our community, especially older members of our community, and just from a social distance, deliver them through their storm door at their, just here you are, here's something to keep you going, because we all know a hungry man is an angry man. And sometimes not even that. Let me just erase the joke from that. Sometimes it's just so difficult for these people who are marginalized, people who've had job losses, casualties of COVID, to, access these things.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So that is just a really nice practical thank you to my community.
That's beautiful.
And also thanking the funders who have made that possible.
That's great. And I think we have that information that we were running by. So if anybody wants to learn more about, what's it called, careers, please repeat the name.
Golden Careers Champions, Lockdown Champions. And by the way, this is an entity that was formed even before, COVID. Yeah. So it's not like, oh, let's get together now and do this. It was always the idea of giving back, because I can't remember the exact phrasing of the phrase of the saying, but I think it's to whom much is given, much is expected, or something.
Yes.
Not that much is given to me, Shal.
No, but sometimes, in America we have an expression, reach one, teach one. The minute you come up the level, reach out.
That's more pertinent. Yes, reach one, teach one. Yes.
Yeah, so important. Otherwise, you've only done it for yourself. You're not helping everybody else. So that's wonderful. And last but not least, we need to wrap it up because we're getting to that time of the night. I just wanted to know, is there anything that you'd like to impart with the audience about dealing with the challenges of the time that we're living in right now? Any words of advice that you'd like to share?
I just want to share that when prayers go up, blessings come down.
Oh, I like that. When prayers go up, blessings come down. Oh, that's a beautiful note. What a wonderful way to end the evening. Kevin, thank you, darling. Mwah, to you for your time, for your honesty, for sharing your heart, for being vulnerable and just letting us know all about you. That is so kind. And, my admiration for you has multiplied even further.
Nito, likewise.
Thank you so much for coming on tonight and sharing with us, and, so much success with that. We'll share more information in the group, because I have a Facebook group, so I'll share your information there again. And we also have all your social media handles. So if people want to reach out to you or connect with you, it's all there. So I'm really, really excited about that. So yeah. So on that note, thank you so much, Kevin. From my heart to yours.
To yours. Find that joy spot.
Thank you. From my joy spot to your joy spot. I love that. Have a good evening. Thank you. Thank you. So thank you everyone for joining. This has been great, and I didn't really get a chance to ask you, but what does Valentine's Day mean to you guys, right? I mean, if you get a chance, put it in the group, put it here. Be lovely to see your comments and get your feedback. And there was quite a few people saying some things. So I'm just going to grab some of the comments about Valentine's Day and what your experiences have been. I think it was Sabrina that said, a great Valentine's memory is baking a chocolate lava cake for my husband in a heart-shaped cake form. He loved it. And unfortunately, so did my hips. I know how that goes, girl. Trust me, from the lips straight to the hips. I get it. I get it. Eva saying, it's out in the universe now. Give it from the heart. And congrats to, I didn't catch congrats to gold, I think it says. But anyway, we're getting some really nice responses. Kevin's going to be so thrilled. Claudia's saying thank you to Michelle and Kevin. And, you know, thank you to you all for being with us tonight. I really appreciate it. And, you know, for those of us that celebrate Valentine's Day, happy Valentine's Day. And for those of us that don't celebrate it or don't have someone to celebrate it with, as I will be celebrating it on my own this year. But, you know, I'm sharing that Valentine's love with my friends and the people closest to me, and I'll be giving myself some love. So, you know, I think it's time for you to give yourself some love as well. So thank you for joining us. It's been wonderful. Thank you, thank you, thank you. If you've got any more comments, any notes, anything you'd like us to talk about in the next few episodes, please, please put that in the chat or put it in the group. And I look forward to seeing you next week. So as I always say, be connected, be joyful, and shine your light. Have a good night.